The air in the Washington, D.C. courtroom crackled with anticipation, heavier than the humid summer air outside. Judge James Caldwell, a man whose silver hair and stern gaze usually commanded unwavering respect, was about to face a storm he hadn't anticipated. He slammed his gavel, the sharp sound echoing like a gunshot. "This court finds President Trump's executive order unconstitutional," he declared, his voice ringing with authority. But beneath the surface, a tremor of unease ran through the room. Karoline Leavitt, the young, sharp-witted White House press secretary tasked with defending the order, felt a knot tighten in her stomach. It wasn't the loss that bothered her. It was the way Judge Caldwell had delivered his ruling. His arguments felt thin, almost rehearsed, and his anger? Overly theatrical, like a seasoned actor playing a part. "You dare lecture me on the law? Leavitt!" His voice roared, booming across the courtroom, silencing the murmurs of the crowd. He was addressing Karoline, his gaze intense and challenging. Karoline, never one to back down, shot back, her voice sharp and steady. "With all due respect, sir, the law doesn't bow to seniority. It bows to the truth." Caldwell leaned forward, his silver hair glinting under the harsh courtroom lights. "The truth is, this order violates the Fourth Amendment. An unacceptable overreach. I strike it down." He banged the gavel again, the finality of the sound punctuated by a palpable tension in the air. In the corner of the courtroom, Leah Caldwell, the judge's daughter and a passionate social activist, watched her father with a mixture of confusion and worry. Her hands twisted together, a silent testament to her inner turmoil. As Karoline stepped out of the courthouse, the chilly March air did little to cool the fire of suspicion burning within her. Judge Caldwell's gavel still echoed in her mind, not as a symbol of justice, but as a hollow clang of deception. The president had tasked her to defend that order, and she had lost. This wasn't about losing, but what felt off with the judge's demeanor. An anonymous text message received moments after the ruling fueled her doubts. Caldwell's "not clean, dig deeper." Instead of heading back to the White House, Karoline made a detour. She drove to a rundown cafe on the outskirts of D.C., a place where shadows gathered and secrets were traded. She was looking for Ethan Moore, a young, brilliant hacker who'd once worked on Trump's campaign. Ethan, with his messy hair and eyes that could pierce through any firewall, was a digital ghost, a master of the unseen world of information. He'd caught the FBI's attention before, hacking rival systems to access their data, but Trump had secretly called him a valuable resource. "Ethan," Karoline said, her voice firm, as she pushed open the cafe door and spotted him hunched over his laptop in a dimly lit corner. "I need you. Caldwell's dirty. Find proof." Ethan looked up, a sly smirk playing on his lips. "Caldwell? That stubborn old judge. What makes you think he's got something to hide, Liv?" Karoline sat down, sliding her phone across the table, the screen displaying the anonymous message. Add that to him striking down Trump's order with paper-thin reasoning. I don't buy his act of righteous indignation. Dig into his finances, his contacts. Anything you can find. Ethan chuckled, his fingers already dancing across the keyboard. All right. But if the FBI comes knocking again, you're the one bailing me out, got it? As Ethan began his digital excavation, navigating the murky waters of bank records and encrypted communications, a legal gray area they both silently acknowledged, Karoline pulled out her phone and opened X. She typed a quick, provocative post. "Someone in the system is playing dirty. The truth will come out, soon." Within minutes, the post exploded. #LeavittExposes became a trending topic. Trump supporters hailed her as a warrior for truth. But the opposition fired back with accusations and insults. Miles Carter, a CNN reporter known for his aggressive questioning, posted a mocking video. "Karoline Leavitt loses again. She's just Trump's puppet, now peddling nonsense rumors." Karoline gritted her teeth, ignoring the online vitriol. She didn't care about Carter's taunts. She needed evidence. 2 hours later, Ethan looked up from his screen, his eyes gleaming with a mixture of excitement and concern. Got something, he said, turning the laptop towards her. A bank transaction appeared. $200,000. Deposited into Caldwell's personal account just 2 days before the ruling. The source? A shell company in the Cayman Islands. Its true origin shrouded in secrecy. Can't trace the source immediately, Ethan explained, but it's way too convenient. He's got no big inheritance. I checked. His parents died broke, his wife's an elementary school teacher. This smells rotten. Karoline's heart pounded in her chest. Bribery, she whispered, the word hanging heavy in the air. Could be, Ethan nodded. But we need more. If it's dirty money, who's behind it? Who has the power to buy a federal judge? Karoline stood up, pacing the small cafe, her mind racing. Caldwell struck down the order for cash. Someone wants to stop Trump, but who? Ethan kept typing, muttering, give me a few hours, I'll dig deeper. But Karoline couldn't wait. She opened Instagram, posting a short, cryptic story. The truth doesn't sleep. Someone's scared now. The response was instantaneous. Thousands of views flooded in, comments sharply divided between she's a legend and she's completely lost it. She knew she was taking a massive gamble, playing her hand in the open, but that was her style. Gen Z, blunt and unrelenting. On the drive home, Nicholas Riccio, her husband, called. Karoline, are you okay? His voice was tight with anxiety. I saw the expos. They're saying you're attacking a judge. She sighed, gripping the steering wheel. I'm fine, Nicholas. But something's seriously off with Caldwell. I have to find out what it is. Nicholas hesitated. I saw a weird guy outside the house this afternoon. Can you come home early? Our son needs his mom. Karoline's grip tightened on the phone, a wave of fear washing over her. Her 8-month-old son's face flashed in her mind. Keep the doors locked. I'll be home as soon as I can, she promised, but her voice wavered slightly. Was someone watching her family? As she hung up, another message popped up, this one from an unknown number. Stop digging, Leavitt. You'll regret it. She stared at the screen, her heart pounding. This wasn't just suspicion anymore. It was a direct threat. But instead of fear, a fierce determination ignited within her. Ethan, she called back, her voice now cold as steel. Speed it up. This isn't a game anymore. Ethan chuckled lightly. I know, boss, but if we're right, whoever's behind Caldwell isn't some small-time player. Karoline hung up, staring out the car window. Night had fallen, cloaking D.C. in darkness. But she knew the light of truth was approaching, no matter the cost. Karoline. Leavitt drove through the darkened streets of Washington, D.C., streetlights casting fleeting, almost ghostly shadows on her windshield. The clock read 8:45 p.m. Just 15 minutes before a secret meeting at the Rusty Anchor, a dive bar on the city's edge. A message from Leah Caldwell, Judge James Caldwell's daughter, glowed on her phone. Meet me at Rusty Anchor, 9:00 p.m. Come alone. After Ethan Moore's discovery of the $200,000 and the chilling threat against her family, Karoline knew this was no longer a political game. It was a fight for survival. But instead of backing down, she charged forward, fueled by a burning need to uncover the truth. The Rusty Anchor loomed in the darkness, its red neon sign flickering erratically, casting a sinister glow on the rusted metal exterior. Karoline stepped inside, the stench of stale beer and tobacco hitting her like a physical blow. The place was nearly deserted, just a few drunks muttering at the bar. Leah Caldwell was already there, tucked away in the darkest corner, wearing a gray hoodie that almost completely hid her face. Her brown hair was pulled back tightly, but her hands trembled visibly around a glass of water. Karoline pulled up a chair across from her, cutting straight to the chase. Talk, Leah. What's your dad involved in? Leah looked up, her eyes red-rimmed, but her voice surprisingly steady. I love my dad, Karoline, but he's not the man I knew. He's being controlled by Senator Daniel Voss. The name Voss made Karoline freeze. Controlled? How? She asked, her voice low but sharp. Leah slid a small USB drive across the table, her fingers shaking. Photos. My dad and Voss, meeting at the Ritz last week. There's more in there, but I didn't dare dig deeper. If he knew I was doing this, Karoline took the USB. The cold metal, a chilling reminder of the stakes. Why give this to me? You hate Trump. You called him a tyrant on X. Leia gave a faint, pained smile. Because I want to save my dad. If he's being bribed or blackmailed, I want it stopped. Before it goes public. But I'm warning you, Caroline, don't destroy him more than you have to. Caroline tilted her head, her expression unreadable. If your dad's clean, I won't touch him. But if he broke the law, I can't promise anything. The air between them was taut, charged with unspoken fears and conflicting loyalties. Leia, a social activist who had led protests against Trump's policies, and Caroline, his staunch defender, were now forced into an uneasy alliance. What does Voss have on your dad? Caroline pressed, her tone insistent. Leia sighed, the sound heavy with despair. I'm not sure, but he changed after meeting Voss. He's stressed, snaps easily. I overheard him on the phone about something about a past that can't be erased. Caroline frowned. A past tied to the $200,000 Ethan had found? You already know? Leia said, startled. I know enough to suspect, Caroline said. Her eyes locked on Leia's. But I need more than photos. If Voss paid your dad to kill Trump's order, I need to know why. Leia bowed her head, her voice choked with emotion. I don't want to betray my dad, Caroline, but if Voss is pulling his strings, you're the only one crazy enough to face him. Caroline smirked, a flicker of dark humor in her eyes. Crazy, maybe. But I won't stop until the truth's out. She stood up, pocketing the USB. But Leia grabbed her hand, her grip surprisingly strong. Be careful, she whispered, her eyes flashing with genuine fear. Voss doesn't play fair. He's got money, power, and he'll do anything to win. Caroline nodded, pulling free. He picked the wrong person to fight. She left the bar, the cold wind whipping her blonde hair. But her mind was ablaze. Voss, a powerful senator, Trump's known enemy, might be the puppet master, but why? And what was Caldwell hiding this past that can't be erased? On the drive back, she called Ethan. I've got a USB from Leia Caldwell, she said as soon as he answered. Photos of Caldwell and Daniel Voss meeting. Check it, find more. I need to know what Voss has on him. Ethan whistled through the phone. Voss? This just got big, Caroline. I'll dig up everything. But watch yourself. If Voss is involved, we're not just up against a judge anymore. Caroline nodded, even though he couldn't see her. I know, work fast. As she hung up, Nicholas called. Caroline, where are you? It's 10 p.m. His voice was thick with worry. I saw that guy outside again. He was under the streetlight, just staring. Caroline gripped the steering wheel, her heart pounding. Nick, lock the doors, stay inside. I'm coming home. She floored it, her mind racing. The anonymous threat, stop or your husband pays, now loomed with terrifying clarity. Voss, or someone working for him, was watching her family. She wasn't scared for herself, but Nicholas and their son. They were her vulnerability, her everything. Pulling up to her house, she found Nicholas at the door, a baseball bat clutched in his hand. He's gone, he said, but his eyes were wide with fear. Caroline, what's happening? What are you into? She hugged him tightly, whispering, I'm chasing the truth, Nicholas. But you and our son are everything to me. I'll keep us safe. Nicholas sighed, holding her close. I trust you, Caroline, I do. Just please, be safe, be careful. Caroline Leavitt stood in the dimly lit room of their suburban Washington, D.C. home, the soft glow of the nightlight illuminating her 8-month-old son's sleeping face. The clock struck 11 p.m., but sleep eluded her. The USB from Leia Caldwell felt like a live grenade in her hand. The rusty anchor meeting haunted her. Leia's warning about Daniel Voss, her trembling eyes, and the chilling final threat. You've been warned. Nicholas Riccio, her husband, stepped in, his eyes heavy with concern. Caroline, you need rest. That guy hasn't come back, but I don't like this. She turned to him, her voice firm despite the exhaustion she felt. I can't stop, Nicholas. Voss is controlling Caldwell, and I need to know why." Nicholas gripped her shoulders, his voice low and pleading. "Our son needs you. I saw him, Karoline, the guy under the streetlight, staring, like he wanted to kill someone." Karoline squeezed his hand, torn between her duty and her family's safety. "I'll protect us, Nicholas. But if I stop now, Trump loses, and everything we believe in falls apart." Nicholas sighed, letting go. "I trust you. Just be careful, Karoline." She nodded, kissed his forehead, and slipped out to the car. The night was young, and she needed Ethan, now more than ever. At an abandoned warehouse on the edge of D.C., Ethan was ready. His laptop glowed in the darkness, screens alive with a chaotic dance of code, bank records, and encrypted messages. "Here's the USB," Karoline said, tossing it across the table. "Leia says Voss met Caldwell at the Ritz last week. Get everything." Ethan plugged it in, his fingers flying over the keys. Photos loaded first. Caldwell and Voss in the hotel lobby, their faces tense, almost conspiratorial. One was time-stamped, March 8th, the day before the $200,000 hit Caldwell's account. "It lines up," Ethan muttered. "But there's more." He opened a second file, a partially encrypted document. But one phrase jumped out at them. "The 98 case." "The 98 case," Karoline frowned. "Leia said Caldwell mentioned a past that can't be erased. Is this it?" Ethan nodded, typing furiously. "Give me a few minutes. If this is blackmail, Voss has something big on him." 10 minutes later, he looked up, his eyes gleaming with triumph. "Bingo! I got into an old archive database, a bribery scandal from 1998. Caldwell, then a rookie judge, was suspected of taking money from a construction company to overlook environmental violations. The case was hushed up, no evidence to convict. But if Voss has the original documents, bop." Karoline cut in, her voice sharp. "He's using it to force Caldwell to strike down Trump's order." She paced, her mind spinning. "But why would Voss want to block the order? It targets Trump's political rivals, people he hates too." Ethan shrugged. "Not enough data yet, but I've got another find." He pulled up a second transaction. $1 million from a Silicon Valley investment fund to an anonymous account dated the same day Voss met Caldwell. This fund's run by a tech billionaire who despises Trump, hates him over tariffs and immigration policy. Voss isn't acting alone, Karoline. Karoline's eyes narrowed. An anti-Trump alliance, and Caldwell's just their pawn. She pulled out her phone, opened X, and went live on the spot. "Listen up," she said, her voice sharp as a blade. "The truth's about to blow wide open. Someone in the shadows wants to stop Trump, but they don't know who I am." The video spread like wildfire. 50,000 views in 10 minutes. Leavitt Exposes was trending again. But she knew she'd just poked a hornet's nest. Ethan looked at her, his expression a mixture of admiration and concern. "You're making yourself a target, Karoline." Karoline gave a cold smile. "They've already targeted me. Now it's time to hit back." On the drive home, her phone buzzed. It was Trump. "Karoline!" His voice boomed through the speaker. "I saw the live stream." "What the hell are you up to?" She replied, her voice steady. "Exposing traitors, sir. Caldwell's bought, and I'm tracking who's behind it." Trump chuckled, a harsh, grating sound. "Good work, Karoline. But don't damage my reputation in the process." She nodded, even though he couldn't see her. "I'll handle it, Mr. President." The call ended, but the pressure weighed heavier than ever. Pulling into her driveway at 1:00 a.m., Karoline found Nicholas waiting, his face etched with worry. "Karoline," he hissed, pointing towards the window. "He's out there again, under the streetlight." She rushed to the door, spotting a tall, thin figure standing motionless, his eyes hidden under the shadow of a baseball cap. "Call the cops," she said, her voice urgent. But as Nicholas grabbed his phone, the figure melted back into the darkness. Her heart pounded in her chest. This wasn't suspicion anymore. It was war. Her phone buzzed again, another anonymous text. "Stop or your husband pays." She looked at Nicholas, then at their son, sleeping peacefully in his crib, her gut twisting with a sickening mix of fear and rage. "Nicholas," she whispered, "Take him to the bedroom, lock the door." She called Ethan immediately. "They're watching my house," she said, her voice shaky but firm. "Voss, or someone working for him, wants me to stop. Dig more on that billionaire. I need a knockout blow." Ethan hesitated. "Caroline, if they're targeting your family, you should back off." She cut him off, her voice hardening. "No, they're targeting my family because I'm getting close. Find it, Ethan." Ethan sighed. All right, but I need 24 hours to dig up everything I can. Can you hold out?" Caroline glanced out the window, the darkness silent but suffocating. "I'll try," she said. She sank onto the sofa, clutching the USB drive. Voss wasn't just manipulating Caldwell. He was part of a larger web, a conspiracy backed by money and power from Silicon Valley. Trump's order threatened their rivals, and they'd do anything to stop it. But why target her? She wasn't just press secretary. She was Trump's trusted voice, the amplifier of his message, the defender of his truth. That made her dangerous, and now a target. Karoline Leavitt sat in the black sedan, parked near Senator Daniel Voss's office in downtown Washington, D.C. The clock hit 11 o'clock p.m. Darkness cloaking the quiet street. Beside her, Ethan Moore adjusted a listening device, a tiny bug he'd planted in Voss's office that morning, risking security with his hacking skills. After last night, the stranger outside her house, the chilling threat against Nicholas, and the discovery of Voss's tech billionaire alliance, Caroline knew time was running out. "If Voss is the mastermind," she said, her voice cold as steel, "we need hard evidence. Tonight, this ends." Ethan nodded, his earpiece pressed to his ear. "Bugs live. If Voss meets Caldwell, we'll hear it." Caroline clenched her fists, her eyes fixed on Voss's office building. The USB from Leah Caldwell had given them photos and the 1998 lead. But she needed a confession, something irrefutable to crush this conspiracy. Nicholas had called before she left, his voice trembling. "Caroline, the cops didn't find that guy. Don't go, please." She'd hugged him and their son, promising, "I'll come back, but I have to finish this." Now, sitting in the car, she wondered if she could keep that promise. Suddenly, headlights swept across the street. A black SUV pulled up, and James Caldwell stepped out, looking haggard and defeated. He wore a heavy coat, his hat pulled low, but Caroline recognized him instantly. "There he is," she whispered. Ethan flipped on the recorder. Footsteps crackled through the speaker as Caldwell entered Voss's office, the door slamming shut. Then, voices. Caldwell's, shaky but furious. "You promised to protect me, Daniel. If this gets out, I'm done." Voss's reply was icy, laced with contempt. "You'll do what I say, James. Unless you want the 98 bribery case made public. Would your daughter still look up to you then?" Caroline and Ethan locked eyes. "The 98 case," she murmured. "It's blackmail." Ethan nodded, his focus entirely on the recording. Voss continued, his voice dripping with arrogance. "Trump's order threatens my donors. You strike it down, I stay quiet. Simple deal." Caldwell shouted, his voice breaking. "Simple? I've sold my soul. Now I'm being watched. I saw that guy outside my house last night." Voss sneered. "Don't worry, I've handled Leavitt. She'll stop soon." Caroline gripped her seat, her heart racing. "Handled me?" she whispered. "He's wrong." Ethan frowned. "They know you're digging. That guy at your house. It's Voss's doing." Caroline nodded, resolve flaring in her eyes. This recording was the knockout blow she needed. Voss admitting to blackmailing Caldwell, acknowledging the anti-Trump alliance, and targeting her. But before they could celebrate, more headlights flashed. A tall man stepped from a dark alley, his flashlight beaming directly at their car. "Damn it," Ethan hissed. "He spotted us." Caroline floored it, tires screeching. The man yelled, giving chase, and another SUV roared up, tailing them. A terrifying chase erupted through the narrow streets of D.C. Caroline weaved through back alleys, her heart hammering against her ribs. Ethan clutched the laptop, shouting, "Turn left, he's gonna ram us!" She swerved hard, tires scraping against the curb. The enemy SUV closed in, a window rolling down, revealing the glint of a gun barrel. "They want us dead," Ethan yelled. Caroline gritted her teeth, flooring it through an intersection, red lights blurring past. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called them. The pursuing SUV hesitated, then vanished into the night. Karoline pulled into an empty lot, gasping for breath. We made it," she said, her voice trembling. Ethan checked the gear, a faint smirk playing on his lips. "Recording's intact. Voss and Caldwell are toast." Karoline nodded, but her chest felt heavy. "They know who I am, Ethan. The guy at my house, this Chase, they want me dead." Ethan looked at her, his expression deadly serious. "You still want to go public? Your family?" Karoline cut him off, her eyes red-rimmed but blazing with determination. "I can't stop. If I back off, Voss wins and Trump loses, but Nicholas and my son—" She paused, picturing her baby in his crib. "I have to protect them by ending this." She called Nicholas. "Nicholas, are you okay?" His voice was frantic. "Karoline, something banged on the door. I called the cops." She shouted. "Lock it. Stay with the baby. I'm coming." She turned to Ethan. "Get to the warehouse. Keep that recording safe. I'm going home." Ethan nodded, worry etched on his face. "You can't fight this alone, Karoline." She gave a faint, weary smile. "I'm not alone. I've got you, and I've got Trump." Karoline sped home, her mind reeling. The recording was hard proof. Voss blackmailing Caldwell, admitting to the anti-Trump alliance, and targeting her. But the cost was soaring. The guy at her house wasn't just watching. He was acting. She arrived at 1 a.m., finding police cars already there, their lights flashing. Nicholas hugged her, shaking uncontrollably. He hit the door, then ran when the siren started," he said. Their son wailed from inside the crib, and Karoline rushed to him, holding him tight, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "But I have to see this through." Her phone buzzed. Ethan texted, "Recording secure. Go public tomorrow." Karoline looked at her family, then at the screen. Voss wanted her scared, wanted her to stop. But she couldn't. She texted back, "Tomorrow, at court, prep everything." She set the phone down, hugging Nicholas and their son, torn inside. Her conscience wrestled with her. Was the truth worth risking her family? But seeing the trust in Nicholas's eyes, she whispered, "Tomorrow. It ends." The night passed in silence, but Karoline didn't sleep. The recording was her weapon, but Voss was a dangerous foe. She knew tomorrow's courtroom battle would be life or death, not just for Trump, but for her family. She held Nicholas's hand, whispering, "I won't lose." Outside, the darkness lingered, but the light of truth was breaking through. The next morning, the Washington, D.C. courtroom was packed. Reporters, activists, even a few senators crammed into the room, the air thick with tension. Like the moments before a thunderstorm, Karoline Leavitt stood at the front. Clutching the USB drive containing the recording she and Ethan Moore had risked their lives for last night. After the harrowing chase, the stranger threatening her family, and a sleepless night with Nicholas and their son, she knew this was the moment of truth. Judge James Caldwell entered, his face drawn and haggard, but clinging to a semblance of dignity. He banged his gavel, opening the appeal of Trump's order. But Karoline was ready to bring it all crashing down. She stood, her voice ringing out, clear and strong. "Your Honor, I have new evidence of a severe conflict of interest." Caldwell narrowed his eyes, gripping the gavel tightly. "What are you up to now, Leavitt?" he growled. She didn't answer, stepping to the podium and plugging in the USB drive. The first photo flashed up, Caldwell and Daniel Voss meeting at the Ritz. The room buzzed with murmurs and whispers. "This is Judge Caldwell, meeting with Senator Daniel Voss, one day before $200,000 was deposited into his personal account," Karoline said, her voice cutting through the noise like a knife. "And here's more proof." She played last night's recording. Voss's voice filled the speakers. "You'll do what I say, James, unless you want the '98 bribery case made public." Caldwell's trembling reply, I've sold my soul." The courtroom erupted. Shouts, gasps, and whispers spread like wildfire. Caldwell pounded his gavel repeatedly, yelling, "Silence! This is fabricated!" But his face had gone ashen. Karoline pressed on, relentless. "We also have a transaction from a Silicon Valley investment fund. $1 million to Voss, the same day he met with you. This is a conspiracy against President Trump, Your Honor, and you're the puppet." Caldwell shot up, pointing a trembling finger at Karoline. You're slandering me. There's no evidence strong enough to—" He stopped abruptly as Leah Caldwell rose from the gallery, her voice shaky but clear. I have evidence." The room fell dead silent. Leah stepped forward, walking towards the witness stand, her eyes red-rimmed but resolute. "I'm Leah Caldwell. I saw my dad meet with Voss. I have documents he hid about the '98 case. Voss. He blackmailed him with an old bribery scandal to kill the order." She turned to Caldwell, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry, Dad, but I couldn't let you destroy yourself and the law." Caldwell slumped into his chair, defeated, his head in his hands. "Sorry about that." Miles Carter, the CNN reporter, shot up, his voice sharp with accusation. "You used illegal wiretapping to take down Caldwell. Is that your truth, Leavitt, or just blatant law-breaking?" Karoline stared him down, her expression unwavering. "I call it exposing a blackmailed judge and a senator plotting against the government. If you want a pretty truth, ask Voss. In prison." The room buzzed again, some clapping, others shaking their heads in disbelief. But Carter didn't back down. "Congress will investigate you for this, Leavitt. You won't get away with it." She smirked, ending the briefing with a defiant, "Let them try." On X, the public was split. #Leavitt Exposes hit 10 million views, with Trump supporters dubbing her America's hero. But the opposition pushed back hard, with #Leavitt Lies, accusing her of privacy violations and abuse of power. One top comment read, "She defends Trump by breaking the law. Who's the real danger?" Karoline shut off her phone, ignoring the online storm. She didn't need praise or hate. She just wanted to go home, to be with Nicholas and their son. Pulling into her driveway, Nicholas met her at the door, hugging her so tightly she could barely breathe. "You did it, Karoline," he said, his voice thick with emotion. I watched the briefing. I'm so proud of you." She smiled, her eyes red-rimmed. "But did you see the cost, Nicholas? Leah lost her dad. Caldwell lost everything. And we almost lost each other." Nicholas took her hand, leading her into the living room. Their 8-month-old son lay in his crib, grinning up at her. She scooped him up, tears rolling down her cheeks. "You said I'd have to choose. Trump or family," she whispered. "Yesterday, I thought I'd lost both." Nicholas sat beside her, his voice low and soothing. "I was scared you'd die, Karoline. The guy outside, that chase. I don't want our son growing up without a mom." She turned to him, resolve flashing in her eyes. "I don't either. But if I'd stopped, Voss and his kind would win. I had to protect us, by fighting." Nicholas sighed, wrapping his arms around her and their son. "I know. But you won, now. Rest a bit, okay?" She nodded, though her heart remained heavy. That last anonymous text, "The war is not over," lingered in her mind, a chilling reminder of the unseen enemy. Her phone buzzed. It was Ethan. "Karoline, Voss talked. He said it was rushed. He confirmed the Silicon Valley billionaires behind it, but no name yet. Cops are digging." Karoline frowned. "Good, but Congress will summon me over the wiretapping. Carter's half right. I'm not clear yet." Ethan snorted. "You've got Trump behind you. They won't dare touch you." She hung up, unconvinced. Trump might shield her, but the cost to her reputation, to her family, that was hers to bear. That afternoon, Leah Caldwell texted, "I saw Dad today. He didn't speak, just cried. Thanks for ending this, but I've lost him." Karoline drove to Leah's small apartment in a D.C. suburb. Leah opened the door, her eyes swollen with grief. "He's in there," she said, pointing to the living room. Caldwell sat in a chair, his silver hair disheveled, clutching a family photo. He looked up, his voice a broken whisper. "Leavitt, you won, but I lost Leah." Karoline stepped closer, her voice firm but not cruel. "You chose Voss over the truth, Judge. Leah saved you from falling deeper." Leah sobbed quietly. I wanted to save him, but he had to pay. I can't forgive him yet." Caldwell nodded, tears streaming down his face. I'll testify against Voss, like you asked. But tell Leia, I love her. Karoline turned to Leia. He was wrong, but he's your dad. Time will heal. Leia didn't reply, just hugged the photo tighter. Karoline left, feeling torn inside. She'd shattered a conspiracy, but she'd also shattered a family, much like she'd nearly lost her own. That night, a congressional summons arrived. Appear before the Judiciary Committee to explain wiretapping in the Caldwell case. Nicholas read it, his face paling. What more do they want? You already won. Karoline smirked, a flicker of defiance in her eyes. They want me down, to get to Trump, but I'll face them. Nicholas gripped her hand. You're not going alone. I'll be there. She nodded, a rare warmth creeping into her heart. But as Nicholas slept, she checked X one last time. A new, anonymous message. Congress is just the start. You'll pay. She stared at the screen, her heart racing. Voss was caught, but the real puppet master lingered, hidden in the shadows. Karoline stepped onto the balcony, gazing out at the night-cloaked city of D.C. She'd saved Trump, restored the order. But at what cost? Public doubt, Leia's pain, the strain on her own family. She wondered, did I do right? The cold wind blew, offering no answer. Her phone buzzed. Ethan texted, prep up, Congress will be a big fight. She replied, I'm ready. That day, Karoline Leavitt stood before the Congressional Judiciary Committee, in the Capitol's vast, imposing chamber. Blinding lights hit her, and dozens of lawmakers peered down from the high bench, TV cameras broadcasting every second. After her courtroom win, taking down James Caldwell and Daniel Voss, she knew Congress wouldn't let it slide. The summons demanded she justify the illegal wiretapping, and that final anonymous text, Congress is just the start, you'll pay, still haunted her. Nicholas Riccio sat in the audience, his hands clasped tightly, his eyes anxious but steady. She took a deep breath, ready to face them. The committee chair, a staunch Trump-hating Democrat, banged the gavel, opening the hearing. Ms. Leavitt, he said, his voice icy, you used wiretapping to bring down Judge Caldwell and Senator Voss. Do you realize this violates federal law? Karoline stood tall, her voice calm but sharp. I realize I did what was necessary to expose corruption. Justice is democracy's backbone, but when it's bought, someone has to act. I don't regret it. I don't regret. The room murmured. Some lawmakers nodded, others shook their heads. Miles Carter, there as a witness, stood. She thinks she's above the law, he shouted. Wiretapping, threatening Caldwell's families, is this Trump's truth? Karoline turned to him, her expression coolly dismissive. Threatened who, Carter? Voss sent men to stalk my home, nearly killed me and my partner. Ask him, in jail. Carter flushed, but the chair cut in. Ms. Leavitt, do you have evidence justifying your actions? She nodded, handing the USB drive and the recording to the clerk. It's all here. Voss blackmailing Caldwell, admitting a plot against the president. I didn't break laws for fun. I did it for America. The hearing stretched on for 10 grueling hours. Democrats grilled her on ethics. Republicans praised her as a defender of freedom. Finally, the chair concluded. We'll review the evidence, but Ms. Leavitt, your actions stir major controversy. You'll face legal consequences if found guilty. Karoline nodded, stepping down. Nicholas rushed over, hugging her tight. You did great, he whispered, but they won't let go. She smirked, a flicker of defiance in her eyes. Think I'm scared. They don't know Karoline Leavitt yet. That night, at the White House, President Trump called. Karoline, he said, his voice filled with pleased satisfaction. You're a star. Congress wants you down, but I won't let them. Now keep making America great. She replied, thank you, sir. I won't stop. But hanging up, she sat alone in her office, conflicted. She'd protected Trump, restored the order, and foiled Voss. But at what cost? Leia had lost her father, Caldwell his career, and her own reputation was stained. On X, Howard Leavitt exposes still blazed. But #Leavitt lies spread too, thousands branding her a lawbreaker. She drove home, Nicholas and their son waiting at the door. He hugged her, whispering, You okay? She nodded, her eyes red-rimmed. You know, I wonder if I did right. The truth saved America, but it hurt so many. Nicholas took her hand. You saved us. That's enough. She held their son. a wave of warmth seeping in. But as Nicholas slept, she stepped onto the balcony, staring out at the DC night. That last, anonymous text, "The war is not over," warned of a bigger foe still out there, the Silicon Valley billionaire, the anti-Trump network. She'd only scratched the surface. Her phone buzzed. Ethan texted, "Voss gave more. The billionaire's Grayson Holt. He's sworn revenge. Watch out." Karoline replied, "Thanks, I'm ready." She set the phone down, asking herself, did I go too far? But recalling the recording, Voss's threats, Leia's testimony, she knew she couldn't stop. "Justice is democracy's backbone," she muttered. "But it's only strong when people stand up." She went inside, seeing Nicholas and their son asleep. A rare smile crossed her lips. She'd fought, won this round, but the war raged on. The next morning, she stood before the White House, the cold wind whipping her blonde hair. She gazed at the horizon, whispering, "When the gavel falls, the dark comes out, and we have to face it." The story. Judge scolds Karoline Leavitt in court, then the fraud explodes, reflects the political tensions, ethical conflicts, and personal pressures in today's U.S., especially amid deep partisan divides and distrust in institutions. Set in 2025, the tale follows Karoline Leavitt, a young White House press secretary, who confronts Judge James Caldwell and Senator Daniel Voss to defend Trump's order, only to uncover a blackmail plot tied to money and power. Her probe, from illegal recordings to a D.C. street chase, shows her willingness to cross ethical lines for her beliefs. A raw theme, as Americans today debate whether the ends justify the means in politics. Grayson Holt's emergence, an unnamed tech billionaire, mirrors the growing sway of money and tech in U.S. politics. Like how big corporations now fund campaigns or pressure policy. The story's real-world lesson for the U.S. is, truth matters, but it comes with responsibility and consequences you must face. Karoline nearly lost her family, Nicholas and their son, to Voss's threats and faced Congress over wiretapping, showing that fighting for your beliefs demands personal sacrifice and the guts to own the fallout. Americans today, from activists like Leia Caldwell to everyday folks, can learn to balance pursuing justice with protecting what's close, family, reputation, or safety. Act like Karoline, fierce but not blind and always ready for truth's cost. Because, as she said, when the gavel falls, the dark comes out, and we have to face it. The story of Karoline Leavitt is not a simple morality tale. It doesn't offer easy answers or clear-cut solutions. Instead, it serves as a stark reminder that the pursuit of truth is often a messy, complicated, and dangerous endeavor. It challenges us to consider the ethical implications of our actions, even when we believe we are fighting for a just cause. It compels us to ask ourselves, how far are we willing to go to defend our beliefs? What are we willing to sacrifice? And ultimately, what is the true price of truth? What are your thoughts? Do you believe Karoline Leavitt's actions were justified? Where do you draw the line between ethical and unethical behavior in the pursuit of truth? Share your opinions in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on future discussions.